Hello and welcome to all. Here are the 10 most expensive fails you will ever see. Let's start. Having a house by a lake or a river is a luxury that most of us dream of, but never get to realize one day. Just imagine the intense happiness of waking up to the gentle sound of lapping water. But be careful not to venture too close to the shore, nor to build your house close to the bank, because you could see your beautiful house washed away in case of floods. And since we are talking about it, look at this almost surreal scene coming from the Yellowstone Park in the United States. This superb house is literally caught by the force of the river flood. And here it is now, sailing on the tumultuous waves like a sordid boat out of the imagination of a real lunatic. One of the most prestigious and select jobs in the restaurant industry is the work of the sommelier. This fine connoisseur, generally an expert in wine, has the sole privilege of advising clients on their choices, or even ordering the wine that will best accompany their meal. But this job requires a lot of tact and skill, because sommeliers have to handle bottles that are literally worth their weight in gold. On this amazing sequence, you will see that this job is not easy, and that it sometimes happens that the situation degenerates very quickly in disaster. This poor sommelier is indeed selecting a bottle of his best champagne, probably in order to serve it to one of his wealthy clients. But alas, the feverish young man visibly lacks dexterity, as he drops a whole bunch of extremely expensive bottles. But the worst is yet to come, because while trying to help his comrade in the mess, a young waiter came back in a hurry, making the whole wine cellar fall this time and break on the floor. No one is safe from professional fault, because as we all know, to err is human. But sometimes the mistake is so monumental that we wonder if it was not really premeditated. The proof is in this rather stormy sequence where you can see a cargo ship transporting cars on a very rough sea. Wiping the waves with bravery, the ship sails proudly in the middle of this raging ocean. But all this was too good to be true, because it only took one moment for a terrible fire to break out on the deck, burning the poor vehicles that were parked there. Like an ancient and terrifying wildfire, the flames devoured the deck of the ship with voracity, especially since the cars had highly flammable fuel in their tanks. Welcome to St. Martin, an idyllic place famous for its fine sandy beaches, its sublime turquoise waters, and especially for its incredible international airport, the Princess Juliana, located only a few meters from the beach. But on this very funny sequence, we are talking about a yacht worth more than $100 million, one of these palaces of the seas that we only see on celebrity magazines or in documentaries on television. Spoiler! This magnificent yacht is going to end very, very badly. But before I tell you what's going to happen, take a look at this superb ship, which must be worth the GDP of a small country, and whose owner must probably be richer than Crucius himself. But being damn rich doesn't mean that we are super intelligent. As you can see on these amazing pictures, the yacht's captain must have partied a little too hard the night before, and his phenomenal hangover made him commit the blunder of his career. The yacht destroyed the pontoon, and considerable damage is to be deplored, whose repairs will probably cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, at least.
Here, this one.
Building craftsmen are naturally excellent handymen with a dexterity and a skill like no other. But some workers, let's say it very clearly, are real Gaston Lagaffe in power, and the result of their work is often disastrous, as you can see on this video. These almost surreal images show us this kind of craftsman at work, and you will see that to qualify them as Sunday handyman would be a pure euphemism as far as they are concerned. Admire these brave workers trying to put a kitchen counter on its foundations. The work table is made of prestigious Carrara marble, and we have to be very careful because it costs a small fortune. But our valiant Sunday handymen don't care, and lifting the counter with their arms, they end up breaking it into 1,000 pieces. Hold on to your seats, because the following sequence is likely to shake you up, and not just a little, as you will see right away. These brave fishermen were quietly enjoying their favorite pastime, namely fishing for gudgeon while tasting nice fresh blondies. But suddenly, they heard the defeating noise of a roaring engine, which came to disturb the peace of this quiet lake. It was a powerful speedboat speeding towards them, and at the speed with which it was moving, a collision was inevitable. The unfortunate fishermen tried to warn the owner of the boat, but it was already too late, and they only had time to jump overboard to avoid being crushed.
Hey! 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 Oh my God!
On this crunchy sequence, you will see that office workers know how to have fun and make the time go by. Indeed, to face the monotony of this job in the long, boring afternoons, this young man became an expert in dart throwing at the office. Emboldened by his first promising results, which were undoubtedly only the luck of beginners, our little office worker then decided to raise the bar and to attack an even more difficult target, a small water bottle. But that's not all, because our valiant employee even made the bet to hit the target blindly in order to demonstrate all the extent of his art, and this in front of witnesses, since he was holding alive at the same time on his mobile. But it is rather the extent of his stupidity that he shared with the rest of the world, since his dart smashed the computer screen of his colleague, narrowly missing to hurt him.
Come on!
You are about to witness one of the most incredible pileups you will ever see, so hold on to your Sparko seats and keep your helmets on, because the following sequence promises to be quite amazing. Here we are in the middle of a race car driver's cockpit, and you can see that the adrenaline is pumping. But while this poor driver was doing his best to reach the finish line first, he finds himself in front of a huge pile of cars, and like the others, he doesn't even have time to brake. The result: all the cars participating in the race are slammed into each other, and the speed competition becomes a real American-style demolition derby.
No! Oh, mayhem! And there's millions and millions and millions of dollars of damage here.
Some people have a lot of strength in their arms and hands, and when they shake your hand, all you can hope for is that they give you your hand back before they completely crush it. These people usually don't know their own strength, so they should be careful not to hurt someone inadvertently. Just look at this young man who decided to take up bowling and who wants to make a strike on the first try. But this good man must have forgotten his strength, because the ball hits the bowling lane so hard that it collapses on itself, leaving a gaping hole. On this completely unbelievable sequence, you will attend the presentation of a fabulous work of art, because it is entirely made of Lego pieces. This superb Harley-Davidson was indeed entirely built in Lego by its creator, who must have spent months to assemble all the pieces. The latter has even pushed the attention to detail until including real brakes with cables and even shock absorbers. But the sublime Harley is going to suffer from a clumsy TV host who deserves the title of the Gaston Lagaffe of the century. Indeed, wanting to inspect the bike more closely, this left-handed presenter is going to make it fall from its base, thus scattering thousands of Lego pieces that made it up.
The suspension and the engine on this. Oh, God.
What have I done?
Master pastry chefs are great artists, capable of imagining and producing true masterpieces, as sublime as they are delicious. Admire this superb tiered cake for a very special event, which took many hours of painstaking work to make. This monument of pastry would deserve to appear in the Guinness Book of Records, and we can already imagine what the reaction of the guests will be when they will see it appear before their eyes. But it is still necessary that this cake arrive at the party, because considering the clumsiness of the delivery man, we are not yet out of the woods. And, indeed, these brave blunderers will spill the ultra-expensive pastry on the parking lot floor, scattering the whipped cream everywhere, up to the feet of the unfortunate customer who had ordered the cake.
Oh no! Oh no!
Construction site accidents are very frequent, and despite all the measures and safety standards, an incident always happens. But on this sequence to make you raise the hairs on the body, you will attend an extremely spectacular accident. And particularly stupid. It is necessary to admit it all the same. Look at this huge truck speeding along the track, crushing a poor white civilian vehicle under its colossal wheels. The Behemoth, whose empty weight exceeds 300 tons, crushes the car on the runway, leaving it like a good old Breton pancake. Fortunately, the occupants of the vehicle, engineers who were visiting the construction site, were not in sight. Otherwise, they would have literally ended up flattened. Rare are those of us who hate chocolate, because who could not love a food so good and so delicious, and which moreover conceals a multitude of essential nutrients for the good functioning of the body. Hot chocolate is a remedy for the body and the mind, warming one during the harshest winters and comforting the other when morale is low. The most greedy among you are already dreaming of rivers of hot chocolate and praline-filled rocks, as if they had won the golden ticket to visit the Willy Wonka factory. So, we let you enjoy this river of hot chocolate, which spilled on a highway after an accident. It is indeed a tanker truck full to the brim with good hot chocolate, which overturned, fortunately without making victims, but by spilling its succulent cargo on the road. Culinary competitions on television are usually an opportunity to reveal new talents, and many famous chefs have been able to break through thanks to MasterChef or other equally prestigious shows. But sometimes disaster can strike, especially if the tension and stress of the competition override the common sense and attention of the participants. Just look at this cake in the shape of Dora the Explorer, which took hours of work by these apprentice bakers. But in trying to move this beautiful pastry, they end up knocking its head off, leaving poor Dora literally decapitated. And as always, on your beloved YouTube channel, we have saved the best for last with this rather hot sequence, and that's really the least we can say. This beautiful sports car is indeed burning, after having been the victim of a serious road accident. Fortunately, there was no victim, but the material damage will certainly amount to hundreds of thousands of euros. As you can see, the superb car will end up completely charred, and it is likely that the insurance does not cover reckless driving, nor speeding for that matter.
University of Hopkins, mate. I know I'm fucked up. Ooh.
Now, tell us in the comments what you think of these 15 crazies but oh so expensive failed sequences. Don't forget to subscribe and click here to watch another of our videos.